Yo, 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 mi gente. I have some bad news for you if you are a Javante Tank Davis fan and if you're a Saul Canelo Alvarez fan, right? And that is, there is a new cash cow in the sport of boxing, and his name is Jake Paul. Now, I used to use the title, the face of boxing, when it came to numbers, but I don't like using that title and abusing it just because someone sells more, right? I think there's a lot more that go to it when even we bring up numbers, like how many world titles have you had? How many divisions have you gained world titles in? How is your last 10 opponents? How is your first 10 opponents? What was their resumes like? I feel like there's a lot that goes into what was your last performances like? How did you perform your last outing against the opponent you was fighting? You know what I'm saying? How all these things play a role for me, right? And there's even more to this. I actually did a live session about this. But now that we're moving on, and we're just, I want to just separate the face of boxing title to, and separate that from cash cow, right? You got the face of boxing, you got the GOAT, and you got the cash cow. Face of boxing is the full package within a certain time period, within a certain era. I would say maybe 5-year era. Who's the face of boxing, right? Who has been doing the best in boxing within the last 5 years, right? And that considers the face of boxing right now. Who has the best overall full package? Then the greatest of all time is just out of all time. Who had just a better resume of all time, right? Then we have the cash cow, and the cash cow doesn't necessarily have to be the face of boxing or has to be a GOAT, which is something new to us because we're used to seeing the people that actually were the best get paid the most. Now we're seeing fighters that are coming from different platforms and they're able to make a big enough name for themselves to get paid damn near double of what everybody else is getting paid. Now, getting to my point in my receipts that I told y'all to hold on for, right? I got something I want to pull up, and this is nuts, and this is why this might not affect the Javante Tank Davis fans that much if you're already accepting the fact that Canelo Alvarez is the cash cow of boxing. Not no more, but he's a cash cow over Javante Tank Davis. I think it's pretty evident. Not taking away from Tank Davis. He's from that 130, 135, 140. From those, ain't nobody stopping him when it comes to that cash cow. Some may even consider him the face of boxing. But we're gonna get into the cash cow only. And right now, Canelo Alvarez fans might be a little, it might suck a little bit for y'all because he's no longer the cash cows right now. And I'm gonna compare the levels, right? There's some numbers released now. This is where the numbers, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. That's when it really takes place, right? And we're gonna pop this up real quick. Check this out. Jake Paul posts, right? Crazy that we did bigger gate than every UFC event. That's crazy. And they've been around for 30 years. So I don't even got to really more or less read the rest of this. Y'all can read it right here. I'm going to pop up something else real quick to show y'all. Let me pop this down. This is how many times it was streamed. Now, everybody say, oh, it's because it's Netflix. Listen, then Canelo Alvarez, Javante Davis, whoever else is a boxer that's trying to be that cash cow, then they have to think of something brilliant too. Because it doesn't change the numbers, regardless. It doesn't change the numbers. You can say, oh, if Canelo was on there, it would have been bigger. We can't say that yet until he does it. But Jake Paul is a genius when it comes to, promoting his fighters. In 3 years, he already beat UFC's numbers of all time. He beat. Remember when we were talking about Canelo Alvarez? This is a point I want to make before we get there. Look, 65 million plus Netflix households tuned in. That's crazy. Now, remember when we were talking about, damn, how can we compare anybody to Canelo Alvarez because he's competing against a whole other promotion in UFC that's been around for a long time, and he's competing against them, right? Now, this is where it gets crazy. Jake Paul beat every number from UFC. Not even just competing with them in the same night, but every number they beat in the UFC, right? In addition to that, he doubled the gate numbers at the same exact location that Canelo holds the record for the most indoor gate, where he fought Joe Saunders. in Texas, T-Mobile Stadium. So, men lie, women lie, numbers don't, man. And the cash cow right now, and we could say like he's not a real boxer, but he fought professional fight. It's a professional boxing match. That already takes away that argument that he's not a real boxer. He boxed. It's a professional boxing match. You know what I'm saying? Now, if it was an amateur exhibition, it'd be different. Like now, but it's a real boxing match. So him fighting a pro fight makes him a professional boxer. In addition to that, he's selling a lot of motherfucking stuff, right? He's outselling everybody in the sport. And the cash cow that was previously the former cash cow, Canelo Alvarez, by double the numbers. What does this do for the sport of boxing? Now, like I mentioned before, man, what this does for the sport of boxing is that we're going to have some great co-main events. Yes. We're going to have some great co-main events. If you guys are expecting someone like Jake Paul to take the same route all these other boxers did, like in the traditional way, you got to be mistaken. Ain't no way someone like Jake Paul is going to want to go back, start from the bottom of the rankings to build himself back up when he's making a whole fortune out of this while getting everybody else their most paid purse. Amanda Serrano is now the #1 most paid female boxer in the sport. Jake Paul is now the most paid male boxer in the sport. They're both a part of the same promotion. He signed her under his promotion. She now manages fighters in that promotion as well. It's just a whole power team behind that. For entertainment purposes, you might want to start tuning into Jake Paul's fights. He's always going to have something entertaining for you guys to watch. You know, maybe not even to watch, but the build-up is going to be exciting. You're going to pay to want to see him lose. But at least during that wait to that main event, there's going to be some there's going to be some fights in that mix that's going to excite you. And it's going to be great for the sport of boxing. Just like the Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. Despite the robbery, which we're going to touch up, I'm not done with that either. We're going to do a whole petition. We're going to do all that. You know what I'm saying? That has to get reversed. Ain't no way possible. But, you know, despite it being a corrupted decision, it was still a good fight. And a lot of people get confused with good fights and close fights. There's a big difference. Now, close fights could be good fights, right? But a lot of times close fights are whack fights. Let's look at Madrimov versus Bud Crawford. Who on here could tell me that was a good fight? Who on here could tell me that Terrence Bud Crawford versus Madrimov was a good fight? Maybe for someone like Shakur Stevenson, where people are so obsessed with IQ, yeah, but that's a good fight. I'm not saying a good boxing IQ match, a good amateur points where we're fighting off points. No, we're talking about a good match where the energy is just different, right? Again, just because it's a close fight, just because it's a good fight, it doesn't mean it's a close fight. Another example, I thought that the Edgar Berlanga versus Canelo Alvarez was a good fight, but nowhere in that fight was it a close fight. Canelo won convincingly, damn near every round, right? But I'll say that it was a good fight. Why? Because, you know, we expected Edgar Berlanga to, well, not me, but a lot of people expected Edgar Berlanga to get knocked out. And then when he actually did get knocked down, we was like, okay, it's going down here from here. But he was able to hold his ground. You know, we would like him to be more have more activity going on in that fight. Damn, that shit was kicking my ass. We would like to see a little bit more activity, right? But it still was a good fight. He still was getting the better of some exchanges. But, you know, Canelo Alvarez just was making sure that he was, you know, landing the better exchanges of each round. So my point is that fight between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor was a good fight. But Amanda Serrano was literally winning every round. Every round. And we're going to do another joint for that, but we're going to skip that for now. I just want to let you guys know that Jake Paul, start tuning in, man. And you know, don't be a hater, be a participator. And what I'm trying to say is that not all things that you don't understand is bad for the sport. I think that this helped open opportunity for Mike Tyson's ending of his career. He came back and he took a loss on that record, but guess what? A lot of people are like, damn, now Jake Paul's on the losing record. But we all know how old Mike Tyson was. And I'll trade a loss on the record for that bag he's about to get right now. We all know Mike Tyson about to get he got the biggest bag out of that. the most he ever got paid in his life is, and probably in combined, is probably with Jake Paul right now. Let's be honest, right? So for some reasons, that is good for the sport, but please follow up for the reasons that don't really include Jake Paul, but still involve the promotion. There's also most valuable prospects, where some of the promising prospects that you're gonna see in the next year or two are coming out of these cards. So make sure to check it out, man. But in other words, man, I think Canelo Alvarez hopefully takes inspiration from this, like he did with Mayweather, and he turned Mayweather's ideas and he added his. It wasn't a copy and paste. It was a copy with taste. You know what I'm saying? He learned a little bit from Mayweather business savvy ways, and then he applied it to himself, did it his own way. Now he's getting paid for people that even buy drinks in the concession stands in the arenas and stadiums. So there's nuts. But I think he could learn a thing or two from the way Jake Paul's doing it, if you guys really want to see these numbers being made in the sport of boxing with fighters you want to take more serious, like Canelo. Netflix might be the next thing. Don't be surprised you start seeing Hulu now. You're gonna start seeing Tubi. Tubi gonna have the ghetto shits though. Yeah, Tubi gonna have the ghetto ass fight nights and all that. You know what I'm saying? But this is a different era where we have someone like Turkey Al Sheik, and now we have Jake Paul in the picture. Very controversial type of business individuals entering the sport of boxing just as of recent. But it doesn't mean it's always bad. I would say, let's see how this plays out. You know what I mean? I feel like this could do good. It could also do damage. But it could do good where we could see some of the matchups we really want to see that could take place on these cards, despite, Jake Paul calling out other fighters that don't really, that we know what's up already, right? But shout out to Jake Paul. He definitely proved himself to being the cash cow. Not the face of boxing, but he has proven to be the cash cow. I think the face in boxing, in my opinion, still lies on Canelo Alvarez, because in addition to the numbers, he's also just, became undisputed, so many division world champion, taking out so many world champions. He's the face as of right now in the past 5 years. Jake Paul, though, cash cow. You know what I'm saying? That's how I'm going to end it. And I think Tank Davis, if he just got to stop taking fights like Frank Martin, he got to stop taking fights like Roach, and then expect us to, include him in this topic, right? That's just my opinion. I don't think he should be included in the face of boxing topics as of right now. I think only fighting once in 2024 to now we having to wait till March for him to fight Frank, to fight Roach. And I'm not trying to play Lamont Roach, but when we first heard Tank Davis was fighting Roach, I'm just being honest. The first thing I thought was like, fuck, Freddie Roach is old as shit and he a trainer. What's going on? What is this? Another Jake? Is this taking place in the Jake Paul undercard? What's going on? But that's my point. Nobody knows of Lamont Roach. Not saying that he's unskilled. He is a world champion at 130, so that got to mean something. But we're talking about 135. There's a lot more we want to see coming out of Tank Davis as far as opponent selection. You knocking out someone like Roach is like cool, but I could guarantee you these numbers are going to drop for Tank Davis, man. That's just my opinion. But I'm going to leave it at that, man. Y'all let me know in the comments what you think.